Hello, my name is Daniel, and today I want to tell you about my trip to the market. This story will help you practice English while listening to my journey. Let's begin. It was a sunny morning when I woke up. The sunlight came through my window, and I felt excited because I had a special plan for the day. I was going to visit the market, but this wasn't just an ordinary visit. I wanted to use this chance to practice my English. I got out of bed and stretched, feeling ready to start the day. After washing my face, I went to the kitchen to make breakfast. I toasted some bread and spread a little butter on it. Then, I poured a glass of orange juice. As I ate, I thought about what I wanted to buy at the market. I need apples, I said to myself, and maybe some fresh vegetables. Oh, and a flower for my room. I smiled at the idea. Flowers always made me feel happy and brought color into my small apartment. After breakfast, I got dressed. I chose a comfortable shirt and jeans, put on my shoes, and grabbed my bag. The bag was light, but I made sure it was big enough to carry all the things I planned to buy. I looked in the mirror and smiled. "Okay, Daniel," I said, "let's go practice some English." When I stepped outside, the air felt warm and fresh. The streets were already busy with people walking, talking, and going to work. I walked to the bus stop, enjoying the sounds of the city around me. Birds were chirping, and I could hear the distant sound of someone playing music. At the bus stop, a man was standing next to me. He was carrying a small bag, and he looked like he was in a hurry. I smiled at him and said, "Good morning." The man looked at me and nodded. "Good morning," he replied. It was a short conversation, but it felt good to say something in English. When the bus arrived, I got on and found a seat by the window. The ride to the market wasn't very long, but I enjoyed looking outside. I saw people walking their dogs, children playing, and shops opening for the day. The bus passed a park with green trees and colorful flowers. It made me feel calm and happy. As the bus got closer to the market, I thought about how I would talk to the shopkeepers. I practiced in my head saying, "How much is this?" and "Can I buy 3 apples, please?" I wanted to be polite and confident. Finally, the bus stopped near the market. I got off and looked around. The market was full of life. I could see stalls selling fruits, vegetables, flowers, and even small handmade items. The air smelled fresh and sweet, and the colors were so bright. I felt excited to start my adventure. "Let's do this," I whispered to myself, taking a deep breath. It was time to explore the market and practice my English. I walked further into the market, taking in the lively atmosphere. The sound of people chatting, laughing, and bargaining filled the air. The colorful stalls caught my eye. Piles of fresh produce, baskets of fruits, vegetables neatly arranged, and the occasional stand selling handmade items. The air smelled of sweet fruits, mixed with the earthy scent of fresh vegetables. It was exciting to be in such a vibrant place. As I walked, I noticed a fruit stall ahead. It was one of the busiest in the market. The stall was covered with bright fruits, shiny red apples, golden bananas, plump oranges, and even some fruits I didn't recognize. The variety was impressive, and everything looked so fresh, as if it had just been picked from a garden. I decided to stop and take a closer look. The shopkeeper, a cheerful woman with a friendly smile, greeted me as I approached. "Good morning," she said warmly. I smiled back and replied, "Good morning. Your fruit looks so fresh. How much are the apples?" "They're $2 each," she said, picking up an apple and holding it out for me to see. "These are some of the sweetest apples you'll find. Would you like to try one?" I hesitated for a moment. I wasn't sure if I should say yes, but I remembered my goal for the day, to practice my English confidently. "Yes, please," I replied. She handed me an apple, and I took a bite. The fruit was crisp and juicy, and the sweetness filled my mouth. It was even better than I had expected. "This is delicious," I said with a smile. The woman beamed at my reaction. "I'm glad you like it. How many would you like to buy?" "I'll take 3, please," I replied, feeling proud of how smoothly the conversation was going. She carefully picked 3 apples and placed them in a small brown paper bag. "That will be $6, she said. I reached into my bag, pulled out the money, and handed it to her. She gave me the bag and said, "Thank you. I hope you enjoy them." "Thank you," I replied, feeling a small sense of accomplishment. This was the first time I had bought something entirely in English, and it felt great to succeed. As I turned to leave, I noticed a family standing nearby, speaking in a language I didn't understand. It reminded me of how challenging it could be to communicate in a new language, but it also made me realize how much I had improved. Just a few months ago, I wouldn't have had the courage to ask for anything at the market. Carrying the apples in my bag, I continued walking through the market, feeling more confident. There were so many stalls to explore, and I couldn't wait to see what I might find next. With the apples in my bag, I walked further into the market, feeling encouraged by my small success. The sounds of the market buzzed around me, voices calling out prices, the laughter of children, and the soft rustling of bags as people filled them with fresh produce. I could smell the earthy scent of fresh vegetables as I approached the next stall. This stand was neatly arranged with vegetables of all kinds. Bright orange carrots were stacked in bunches. Deep green cucumbers lay in rows, and shiny red tomatoes were piled high in wooden crates. There were also leafy greens like spinach and lettuce, their vibrant colors making the stall look like a miniature garden. The shopkeeper, a middle-aged man with a kind face and a welcoming smile, greeted me as I stepped closer. "Good morning. What can I get for you today?" he asked in a cheerful voice. I smiled back and replied, "Good morning. Your vegetables look very fresh. How much are the carrots?" "They are $1 for a bunch," he said, holding up a bundle of bright orange carrots tied with a green string. "These are fresh from the farm this morning." I nodded, thinking about what I needed. "I'll take 2 bunches, please," I said confidently. The man quickly picked out 2 of the best-looking bunches and placed them in a bag. "Anything else for you?" he asked. I looked around and saw the tomatoes. They looked perfectly ripe, their red skin smooth and shiny under the sunlight. "How much are the tomatoes?" I asked. "They're $2 per kilogram," he replied. I thought for a moment and said, "I'll take 1 kilogram, please." The shopkeeper smiled and began weighing the tomatoes on a small scale. As he worked, I decided to practice a bit more English. "Do you grow these vegetables yourself?" I asked, curious. "Yes, I do," he said proudly. "I have a small farm outside the city. Everything you see here comes straight from my farm." "That's amazing," I said. "The vegetables look so fresh. It must be a lot of hard work." He nodded with a grin. "It is, but I enjoy it. Seeing people appreciate fresh produce makes it worth it." He handed me the bag of tomatoes and said, "That will be $4 for everything." I reached into my bag, took out the money, and handed it to him. "Thank you so much," I said. "Thank you," he replied. "I hope you enjoy your vegetables. Have a great day." As I walked away with my bag of carrots and tomatoes, I felt even more confident. I had not only practiced my English, but also learned a little about the shopkeeper's life. It felt good to connect with people while improving my skills. I glanced around the market and noticed a stall filled with vibrant flowers in every color imaginable. A new idea formed in my mind. Why not buy some flowers to brighten up my home? With that thought, I headed toward the flower stand, eager to see what lay ahead. After buying fresh vegetables, I continued walking through the market, my bag feeling heavier, but my heart feeling lighter. Ahead of me, I saw a stall filled with flowers in every color imaginable. Bright yellow sunflowers, deep red roses, delicate white lilies, and even small potted plants covered the stall, creating a beautiful rainbow of nature. I couldn't resist stopping to admire them. The shopkeeper, a young woman with a cheerful smile and a bright scarf tied around her hair, noticed me looking at the flowers. "Good morning. Would you like to buy some flowers today?" she asked kindly. I smiled back and said, "Good morning. Yes, your flowers are so beautiful. How much are the roses?" "They are $3 each," she replied, gently picking up a rose to show me. "They're fresh and smell amazing. Would you like to smell one?" "Yes, please," I said. She handed me a rose, and I brought it closer to my nose. The scent was sweet and calming. "This is lovely," I said. "I'll take 2 roses, please." "Of course," she said, carefully picking 2 of the freshest roses from the bunch. She wrapped them in brown paper with a small piece of twine tied around the stems. "Here you go," she said as she handed them to me. I paid her $6 and said, "Thank you. These will make my home feel so much brighter." She smiled and replied, "You're welcome. Flowers always make a place feel warm and happy. I hope you enjoy them." As I was about to leave, I noticed a small potted plant sitting at the edge of the stall. It was a tiny green plant with round leaves sitting in a simple ceramic pot. I pointed at it and asked, "What kind of plant is this?" "Oh, that's a money plant," she said. "It's very easy to take care of, and many people believe it brings good luck." I thought about it for a moment and decided to ask more questions. "How much is it?" "It's $10, she said, "but it will last for years if you take care of it." The idea of having a plant that would last for years sounded wonderful. "I'll take it too," I said with a smile. She carefully wrapped the pot in a piece of cloth to keep it safe. "Here you go," she said as she handed it to me. "Take good care of it, and it'll make your home feel more alive." I thanked her again and walked away, feeling even happier. The flowers and the little plant in my bag added a sense of joy to my day. With my purchases complete, I decided to take a short break. I noticed a small bench near the center of the market and headed toward it to sit down. As I rested, I looked at the roses in the plant. They reminded me of how much I had achieved today, not just in speaking English, but also in connecting with others. Looking around the market once more, I realized there was still more to explore. With a deep breath, I stood up, ready to continue my journey. After leaving the flower stall, I felt the weight of my bag growing heavier with all my purchases: apples, carrots, tomatoes, roses, and a small plant. But the excitement of exploring the market kept me going. As I walked further, the delicious aroma of something sweet caught my attention. I followed the scent until I found a stall selling freshly baked pastries and desserts. The stall was small but neatly arranged, with trays of golden brown cookies, chocolate cakes, and flaky pastries. Behind the counter, an elderly man in an apron was carefully arranging the treats. His warm smile made the place feel inviting. I decided to stop and have a look. "Hello," he greeted me cheerfully. "What can I get for you today? Everything here is homemade." "Hello," I replied, feeling a little shy but determined to practice my English. "Your pastries smell amazing. What do you recommend?" He pointed to a tray of small round pastries, topped with powdered sugar. "These are my best sellers," he said. "They're filled with sweet cream and are very popular." I nodded, curious to try one. "How much are they?" "They're $2 each," he said. "But if you buy 3, it's $5. The offer sounded tempting, and I decided to treat myself. "I'll take 3, please," I said. As he placed the pastries into a small paper bag, I decided to strike up a conversation. "Do you bake all of this yourself?" I asked. "Yes, I do," he said proudly. "I've been baking for over 30 years. My wife and I started this stall together. Now it's just me, but I love what I do." "That's amazing," I said, genuinely impressed. "Your work must bring a lot of people joy." He smiled, a hint of pride in his eyes. "It does. Seeing people enjoy my pastries makes it all worth it." "Where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?" "I'm from a big city," I said, carefully choosing my words. "But I've been living here for a while now, learning English and exploring new places." "You're doing great," he said encouragingly. "The best way to learn is to talk to people. Keep practicing and you'll be fluent in no time." His kind words made me feel more confident. I thanked him as I paid for the pastries and said, "I'll come back again. These look delicious." "You're always welcome," he said with a wave. "Enjoy your treats." I walked away with the bag of pastries in hand, the warm scent making me even hungrier. I found a quiet spot near the edge of the market, where a few benches were placed under some shady trees. Sitting down, I opened the bag and took a bite of one of the pastries. It was soft, creamy, and perfectly sweet. As I enjoyed the treat, I looked around and noticed how vibrant and lively the market was. People from different backgrounds and cultures were here, talking, laughing, and sharing stories. It reminded me of how much I had learned that day, not just about English, but about connecting with others. After finishing the first pastry, I saved the rest for later and stood up, feeling re-energized. There were still a few more stalls to visit, and I was eager to see what else the market had to offer. After enjoying the sweet pastries, I felt refreshed and ready to explore more of the market. My bag was already filled with apples, vegetables, flowers, and a small plant, but I couldn't resist the curiosity to see what else was on offer. As I walked through the bustling aisles, I noticed a stall that stood out from the rest. It wasn't selling food, it was filled with handmade items. The stall was decorated with colorful fabrics, wooden carvings, and jewelry that sparkled under the sunlight. Small baskets filled with trinkets and handcrafted ornaments were neatly arranged on the counter. Behind the stall stood an elderly woman with kind eyes and a bright smile. She looked up as I approached. "Good afternoon," she said warmly. "Feel free to look around. Everything here is handmade." "Good afternoon," I replied. "Your stall is beautiful. Did you make all of these yourself?" "Yes," she said proudly. "I've been crafting for years. These are made with care and tradition, using techniques passed down from my grandmother." I picked up a small wooden carving of a bird. It was smooth to the touch, with intricate details etched into the wings. "This is amazing," I said, admiring the craftsmanship. "How long does it take to make something like this?" She smiled. "It depends on the piece. That bird took me about 3 days. I use natural wood and carve it by hand. Each one is unique." "That's incredible," I said. "How much is this?" "It's $10, she said. "But if you're interested, I can show you something even more special." Curious, I nodded. "Yes, please." She reached under the counter and brought out a small jewelry box. The box was covered in colorful beads and had a delicate latch on the front. "This is one of my favorite pieces," she said. "It's made with beads from my travels and took weeks to complete. It's perfect for keeping small treasures safe." The box was beautiful, and I couldn't take my eyes off it. "How much is this?" I asked. "It's $20, she said. "But I promise you it's worth every penny." I thought about it for a moment. The box was a little more expensive than I had planned to spend, but it was unique, and I loved the idea of supporting her craft. "I'll take it," I said with a smile. Her face lit up. "Thank you. I hope you enjoy it for many years to come." She carefully wrapped the box in tissue paper and placed it in a small bag. As I handed her the money, I said, "You're very talented. I've never seen anything like this before." She laughed softly. "Thank you, dear. It makes me happy to share my work with others. And you're doing well with your English, by the way. Keep practicing and you'll get better every day." Her encouragement made me feel even more confident. "Thank you," I said. "I'm trying my best." With my new purchase safely tucked into my bag, I thanked her again and continued walking through the market. The jewelry box felt like more than just an item. It felt like a memory of the day and the kind woman who had shared her story with me. As I wandered further, I realized that the sun was starting to dip lower in the sky. The market was still lively, but I knew my time here was slowly coming to an end. There were still a few stalls left to visit, and I was eager to see what final treasures or experiences I might find. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm golden glow over the market. I continued walking through the bustling aisles, my bag growing heavier with each purchase. As I passed a stand selling spices, the rich aroma of cinnamon, cloves, and dried herbs filled the air, making me pause for a moment to take it all in. The day had been exciting so far, but I felt that there was still more to discover. While looking around, I noticed a small cafe tucked away in the corner of the market. It had a few wooden tables set up outside, shaded by a large umbrella. People were sipping drinks and chatting in relaxed tones. My legs were starting to feel tired from all the walking, so I decided to stop there for a quick break. I walked up to the counter where a young man with a bright smile greeted me. "Hello, welcome to our cafe. What would you like to order?" I glanced at the chalkboard menu hanging above him. It listed a variety of drinks, from fresh juices to hot teas and coffee. "I'll have a cup of tea, please," I said. "Would you like milk and sugar with it?" he asked. "Yes, just a little sugar, please," I replied. As he prepared my tea, I noticed a man sitting alone at one of the tables near the cafe. He looked about my age and seemed to be writing something in a small notebook. I decided to be brave and practice my English some more. After all, part of my goal today was to connect with people and build confidence. With my tea in hand, I walked over to his table and said, "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" He looked up and smiled. "No, please sit." "Thank you," I said as I sat down. "I'm Daniel. I'm learning English, and I came to the market today to practice speaking." "That's great, Daniel," he said. "I'm Alex. I'm also not from here. I moved here for work a few months ago, and I'm still learning too." Hearing this made me feel more comfortable. "It's good to meet someone in the same situation," I said. "It's not always easy to speak in a new language, but it's fun to try." Alex nodded. "Exactly. I like coming to the market because it's a great place to talk to different people. What have you bought so far?" I opened my bag slightly to show him. "I bought some apples, vegetables, roses, and even a small plant. Oh, and this beautiful handmade jewelry box." He smiled. "You've been busy. That box looks amazing. I love finding unique things like that." We talked for a while about the market, the people we had met, and the challenges of learning a new language. Alex shared a few tips that had helped him improve, like listening to podcasts and watching movies with subtitles. "The more you hear English, the easier it becomes," he said. I nodded, making a mental note to try his suggestions. It felt good to have a conversation with someone who understood what I was going through. After finishing my tea, I thanked Alex for the chat. "It was nice talking to you. I hope we meet again someday," I said. "You too, Daniel. Good luck with your English practice." he replied with a friendly wave. As I walked away from the cafe, I felt a renewed sense of motivation. Not only had I practiced my English, but I had also made a connection with someone who shared a similar journey. The market wasn't just a place to shop. It was a place to learn, connect, and grow. The evening light made the market look even more beautiful, and I decided to visit just a couple more stalls before heading home. As the market began to wind down, I knew it was time to head home. My bag was now full: apples, fresh vegetables, roses, a small plant, a handmade jewelry box, and the wonderful memories of the people I'd met and the conversations I'd had. The warmth of the market, the kindness of strangers, and the vibrant energy of the place made the day feel special. I walked toward the bus stop, the golden hues of the setting sun casting long shadows across the market. As I waited for the bus, I thought about everything I had learned. Practicing my English at the market had been a fun and rewarding experience. From asking shopkeepers about their goods to chatting with Alex at the cafe, I had gained confidence in speaking and learned new words along the way. When the bus arrived, I climbed on and found a seat by the window. As the bus moved through the streets, I looked out at the city lights beginning to twinkle. I felt proud of myself. Today, I didn't just buy groceries and flowers. I stepped out of my comfort zone, practiced my English, and made real connections. Once I got home, I unpacked my bag and placed the roses in a vase. The small plant found a home on my windowsill, and the handmade jewelry box sat beautifully on my table. Each item reminded me of the people I'd met and the conversations I'd had. Before going to bed, I opened my notebook and wrote down the new words I had learned: roast, grill, carve, and craft. I also wrote sentences using these words to remember them better. Writing about the day helped me reflect on my progress and appreciate how far I had come. As I closed the notebook, I smiled to myself. Learning English wasn't just about studying, it was about living, exploring, and connecting with people. Every conversation, no matter how small, brought me closer to my goal. If there's one thing I learned today, it's this: don't be afraid to try. Whether it's asking a question, practicing new words, or starting a conversation, each step makes a difference. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey to the market. I hope my story inspires you to practice your English in everyday life, just like I did. Now it's your turn. Visit a market, cafe, or any lively place in your city and try practicing your English. Start small, say hello, ask questions, and enjoy the process. Share your experience in the comments below, and let's support each other on this learning journey. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories and tips to improve your English. See you next time.